What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. Today I'm going to be building 3 Mocs using my least favorite clone trooper of all time, Captain Rex.
Are you kidding?
Quiet, you. I'm just kidding. I know how much all of you guys love Captain Rex. And while he's not my favorite clone trooper, I must admit he has some really impactful and cool moments over the course of the Clone Wars. So I went through a lot of those best moments and compiled a list of the top 3. And in today's challenge, I'm going to be building those 3 scenes as Lego Star Wars Mocs. One in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 hour. I knew no matter what scenes I chose for this video, one of them would have to come from the final episode of the Clone Wars. The episode where Rex and Ahsoka team up to escape the clones trying to execute Order 66 and off of a crashing Venator they're trapped on. The scene I landed on is when Rex and Ahsoka face off against Jesse and the clones in the giant hangar bay of the Venator. I felt like this scene would work best for the 10-minute mock because it would basically look the same if I did it for the 10-minute mock or the 1 hour mock, because the whole scene is just a floor and a wall with minifigs and a doorway. I also learned from the last mock challenge not to try and make the 10-minute mock too big, because this one is about detail and story, not size. So I'm going to use 3 6x10 plates for the base with a black frame. At the back of the mock, I will add the wall and doorway that the 2 escapees come out of. I noticed that there is a light panel on one side of the doorway, and I'm going to add in 1 on each side for extra detail and symmetry. This is going to be the hardest part of the mock, and I don't have time to take them apart and experiment with different sizes, so I'm just going to add in 2 rows of white plates as the lights with some dark bluish gray plate on either side and try to make it fit as snugly as possible. This was such an emotionally charged episode. The clones go from being loyal to Ahsoka to the death to trying to kill her with a single command. But it also really shows how loyal and dedicated Rex is. After she removes his chip, he has to come to grips with the fact that he has to betray his own troops, and it all accumulates to this one scene where he's forced to confront his brother Jesse and try to reason with him, and when that fails, he has to continue to fight against his own troops to escape. This next one is similar to a scene I built a little while ago in a previous challenge. It is Captain Rex arresting Jedi General Pong Krell on accounts of treason and a bunch of other terrible stuff during the campaign on the planet Umbara. This is not the most exciting location to build, as it's just a large room at the top of a tower in an Umbaran airbase. The Umbarans like to keep things simple and have some very cool but alien technology, so there aren't a lot of features or accessories to build in the room. The room is round, and I think the best way to go about building that is by making a snot base with bricks and slopes around the edges to make a rounded frame. But that's still not enough to satisfy me, so I'm going to add 2 smaller discs on top to give the mock some more height and extra detail. The set of discs created some nice steps leading up to the top of the mock, and I'm going to build some dark bluish gray blocks with stacks of trans light blue cylinders on them, placing them on the steps. At first, I was thinking these could act as computers or controls of some kind, but as I placed them down, I thought they looked more like windows, which is convenient because in the actual scene, the front wall is a bluish window, and double bonus, the blocks of cylinders weren't connected to any studs and could mirror the shape of the base, thus making them look even more like some kind of window or wall running around the mock. Jedi Master Pong Krell is one of my least favorite characters in Star Wars. As a secret member of the enemy forces, he is constantly throwing his men in harm's way, trying to get as many of them killed as possible. He sends the 501st and 212th clones to the same coordinates, saying the enemy is wearing clone armor, so they fire on each other by accident. So it was very satisfying to see Rex put his men and other clones first and stand up to Krell and put him under arrest at the risk of being tried for treason against the Republic. The build looks pretty cool. The rounded base turned out as I had hoped. The cylinders representing windows came about by accident, but I'm really glad I made that connection because the mock feels more contained now and looks much cooler. This last mock really shows off Rex's ability to think outside the box when facing a problem. It's the scene where Rex, Cody, Echo, Fives, and Heavy are trying to break into the Rishi Moon outpost after it is taken by droids. This is definitely one of the smallest base plates I've ever started with for a 1 hour mock, and that is because in the scene Rex and the other clones are high up on a landing platform that connects to the outside of the outpost, which is at the edge of a steep cliff. So a lot of this mock will be a platform suspended off the ground. I'm going to use some quarter circle bricks to create a curve at the sides of the front wall because I thought a flat wall would look kind of lame and boring. In the center, I'm going to add a little design just to break up all the flatness and make it look more interesting. I want the platform to jut out pretty far from the wall, so I'm going to put in a bunch of inverted slopes underneath where it will go to support it and prevent sagging. I'm basically going to build a mini version of the platform for my Utapau mock, those being a big slab of light bluish gray brick with long inverted slopes underneath. This whole scene is very dark, which made it hard to see a lot of the details and shapes of the base and platform, but one thing that stood out to me was the shape of the doorway. It looks like a hexagon, which is not a super common door shape that I see in Star Wars, so I wanted to get that right. Using some inverted and regular slopes, I made that doorway. I used light bluish gray pieces to contrast with the dark bluish gray wall. Now it's time to add the key ingredient, the little keypad and eye camera that Rex uses to trick the droids into opening the door. I used printed tiles and a stud with a small handhold at the bottom and a red stud on top of it to create the eye camera. That's pretty much all the exciting stuff. Now I just need to make the walls taller and the platform longer. In this scene, there are some droids on guard inside the door, and Rex walks up to the camera pretending to be a droid in clone armor. They tell him to remove his helmet to prove his identity, so he ducks down beneath the camera and holds up a droid head to trick them into opening the doors. I know it's kind of stupid, but it shows how Rex thinks. He could have blasted his way in, but instead was able to gain entry without raising the alarm. And speaking of alarms, there is a glaring inaccuracy in this mock. Rex is holding the wrong head. In this scene, Rex holds up a commando head, but I only have B1 heads, so that was all I could use, but I do have some commando droids on the way for future mocks. Overall, I think this mock recaptures the scene pretty well. I think the doorway and keypad are my favorite part. I threw in some crates as well, since there were a bunch strewn around the platform. I must say, I walked away from this challenge liking Captain Rex more than when I started. He's a great soldier and a smart leader who has a lot of great moments. That being said, you can't have a Rex-themed mock challenge without doing one for another clone as well. So in the next challenge, I'm going to be tackling the 3 best moments from him, and I'm sure a lot of you can guess who it is. Don't forget to let me know which of these mocks was your favorite, as well as your favorite Captain Rex moment down below in the comments, and I will catch you in the next video, but until then, happy building.